Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the F1 live show, the Sochi edition post-race. We're here live from the action. Now, don't adjust your TV sets. I am not Will Buxton, but I am his Australian cousin, Sam Power, and this is going to be a lot of fun, ladies and gentlemen. I've got my great co-host here, Stoffel Vandoorne, racing driver extraordinaire. Thank you for coming on the show, mate.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to be here again.
Certainly am glad to have you here with me. I've been told, ladies and gentlemen, that Will is back at home. He is resting. He is going to be absolutely fine. I'm pretty sure he's just eating ice cream, but he's going to be here on the desk as soon as possible. So, ladies and gentlemen, we actually have a wonderful superstar here already, ready for an interview. Let's welcome in over Daniil Kvyat, the hometown hero. Come on down, mate. What an incredible result for you. If someone had said that you were going to finish in inside the top 10 for your home Grand Prix, you would have taken that at the start of the weekend, I'm sure.
Yes, was good. I'm happy with the weekend. I'm happy with the result. Strong race, good points for the team, both cars in the points, and my race was particularly strong. I wanted a bit of that strategy today, and I was confident I could make it work. I did, so strong laps, especially end of my first stint. Then just a little bit unfortunate, wanted to overtake Ocon, but he didn't make any mistakes, so was missing always very little for P7, but not bad at all. I'm happy, and every race important for me is that there's progression, steps forward, and I'm happier with the car. I understand more and more about it.
Oh, well, mate, congratulations on an incredible result. We hope to see many more of them to come. AlphaTauri looking as strong as ever, particularly after that win in Monza, so really well. Congratulations, mate. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time we go through some results from this wonderful Grand Prix. Let's have a look at them right now. We can have a see what just went on in that incredible Russian Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas, obviously P1, never looked like he was going to get beaten after that penalty announcement for Lewis. Max Verstappen, incredibly spirited drive. That was an incredible result from his qualifying that's carried over. Sergio Perez, a hero in that one there. Charles Leclerc, didn't see him much during the race, but a very, very good result for him. Then Esteban Ocon, we might be hearing from him later on. Daniil Kvyat, as we just spoke to him in P8, absolutely awesome drive. Alex Albon slipping into the top 10 after a big recovery drive. Absolutely awesome to see him there as well. Flipping over the page, we've got Antonio Giovinazzi, Kevin Magnussen, Sebastian Vettel. Those guys were tied in a battle the entire Grand Prix with Kimi Räikkönen. Lando Norris, a bit of a disappointing day for him, but he was pulling some incredible moves into turn 13 whilst he was battling with Nick Latifi, Romain Grosjean and George Russell. Now, Stoffel Vandoorne, let's get your thoughts on that race, mate, because it looked like it just got triggered from that safety car.
Yeah, it was always going to be a little bit of an interesting race. Already at the front, there was the difference in tires between Lewis, Valtteri, and Max, and obviously with the draft up to turn 1,
yes.
It looked like Valtteri was going to take the lead, and then just didn't hang on to it. But yeah, an interesting race. Obviously, we got that carnage in turn 1 with Carlos clipping the wall and yeah, causing a little bit of a disaster, triggering the safety car. And then, yeah, it just kind of triggered some different strategies. Some people that pitted really early. Lando was one of them. I think Alex Albon was one of them as well. They tried to make it to the end, but yeah, didn't quite manage to make the tires survive. So a lot of action all around.
Absolutely. It looks like turn 2's been a bit of a topic for the whole weekend. What's been your take on it as a driver? Obviously, Massey has said that if anyone goes over that curbing section there, they were going to receive a penalty. Is that something that, you know, really affects you as a driver when you're going in there? Because it looked like it was a lot of low grip in that corner as well.
Yeah, I mean, the stewards have been very clear on what the penalties were going to be if you weren't taking the escape route. However, I feel like it's been quite harsh on some drivers. I think, you know, Daniel Ricciardo, you know, Esteban let him pass, and then Daniel made a bit of a mistake, and I think it would have been actually impossible for him to get to the escape road and get there. That's actually what Roman tried to do, and then obviously clip the panels. So yeah, a little bit harsh on them.
There you go. Now, time to have a chat to our French superstar, Mr. Ocon. Hey, mate, how are you going?
I'm not too bad, thank you. What about you?
Yeah, very good. That first lap, that was an amazing opening lap from you.
Yeah, it was a great opening of the race. Great start. I got up to 4th. It was fantastic. The pace in the first stint was also great on those soft tires. managed to stay close to Max, which was nice, but went a bit downhill after that second stint. So we need to see that.
What do you think? The Renault's just looking stronger and stronger. Everything just seems like it's starting to gather momentum. That must give you so much excitement for the Grand Prix to come.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've been having a great understanding of the car recently, and of course a few new parts that the factory did bring did help also on our performance. But overall, yeah, it smells good, obviously, for the next couple of races coming. We seem to be performing very well in most of the tracks, which was not the case in the beginning of the year. So it's all follows plan, I would say, because the target is to improve and to get better, and that's what we're doing.
Oh, mate, we wish you the best of luck. We want more of those great results from you, buddy. We'll see you again soon. Thank you so much for coming onto the show. Stoffel, they're getting close to you guys. They're catching you, and they're looking so fast in a straight line, Renault.
Yeah, I mean, they're not quite close to us yet, but yeah, I mean, they're definitely getting better. I mean, I think Daniil and Esteban, they've been gathering a good amount of points over the last couple of races, and they've really upped their game. It seems like they're understanding their car more and more, and they're able to pull out some great results. And I feel like it's only a matter of time before Daniil probably pulls out a podium, and Cyril deserves that well-deserved tattoo.
What would you get, Cyril, for a tattoo? What would you choose?
I don't know. I'm not creative enough to decide that.
It is very interesting to see. We're going to have Danny Rick coming up with us shortly, hopefully, if we can get him from the media pen. But talking about Renault, with Ocon, it's so important for him to get some runs on the board because he's got a big teammate change next year. Fernando Alonso coming to that, big rebrand, a lot of change in that team. He really needs to get on par as quickly as possible with these current spec Formula One cars.
Yeah, definitely, and you know, he had a great start of the race today. His first stint looked really good. You know, he was staying actually quite close to Max, and then as soon as he got onto the hard tires, it looked a little bit more tricky for him. He never really quite got the most out of it. He seemed to struggle a little bit, and you know, Daniil kind of got the upper hand in the second part of the race. So yeah, it's some work to do. There will be some changes in the team next year. And yeah, with the current momentum they're having, it looks like they're heading in the right direction.
You made an interesting point there about the different tyres. Does that suit drivers in a different way? For example, if it's a soft tyre, do you get excited when you get the soft tyre? Or do you get excited when you get the hard tyre? Is there a difference, and does that correlate to different drivers?
It sometimes changes the balance of the car a little bit when you change compound, and you know, some tires are behaving or they have a different stiffness, which makes you feel a little bit more comfortable and can influence the pace of the car, basically. So I guess it's more of a comfort level which you have to get used to.
I'm going to get some more thoughts for you in a second. Let's hear from the man himself, Sergio Perez. What a result, mate. That must have been an incredible feeling for you, buddy. Well done.
Yeah, it was a great race. I think apart from the race start, everything went really well. That side of the grid was horrible. I really couldn't find any grip. As soon as I released the clutch, I went straight into wheel spin. But anyway, I'm pleased with the race. I think what really made our race was that first stint, you know, on the soft tire, being able to pass the Renaults, basically overcut them, and yeah, that was pretty good because I think in the hard we were very even pace to them.
That's fantastic, mate. Now, that must felt like a little bit of vindication with everything else going on, all the things happening. To get that result, it must give you an incredible amount of confidence moving into the latter half of the season.
Yeah, obviously, I think the team is doing a great job. Hopefully, next race, I can get the upgrades on my car and close the gap a bit more to the front runners. That will be great.
Fantastic, mate. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Best of luck for the next couple of Grand Prix. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to cross over to the studio where the great Rosanna Tennant is awaiting us. Rosanna, over to you, my friend.
Sam, great to see you and hear from you. Thanks very much. Yeah, another Sam next to me here in the studio. Sam Collins, we've been looking back at the race start, and I know you and I were talking in the pre-race show about what we were expecting off the line. Did we see what we were expecting?
Not really. The left-hand side of the grid should have been great for everybody on the left, and the right shouldn't have been great. No one seems to have told Max Verstappen, and he seems to have just got it. You can see him coming off the line there from second and immediately darting off to try and get the left. Found a Mercedes in his way, but got into the tow. The Renault didn't create a problem for him, and then he came screaming up and nearly got that Mercedes actually into that long right-handed corner, and that's why you saw it go so defensive. And then the start of this corner got quite exciting for quite a few people at this point. We saw the Red Bulls go screaming off. He did take the route quite correctly, but I was a little bit sceptical whether he went through the bollards there on that first lap, and he didn't get that 5-second penalty for that.
No, he didn't. Of course, we saw other drivers having trouble with those bollards. Carlos Sainz, for example, that angle that he attempted to go through them at, that was just impossible.
I think we're about to discover that, but look, Verstappen goes off at the first corner. Now, here are those bollards. He absolutely nailed that brilliantly. I haven't seen that before. He absolutely that is precision driving. That was super skillful. Here we see the Mercedes drivers. Now, you see Bottas trying to get that toe off Lewis Hamilton, and it immediately picks it up. I mean, this is absolutely what we saw last year with the two Ferraris. This time it was just the two Mercedes. Hamilton was wise to it, comes left, and just goes around the outside, just keeps it legal, ever so close to going illegal and getting that penalty. And then that's the battle started. But it was really... Yeah, I mean, I hadn't seen that Verstappen clip before, and that's how you're meant to do it.
That was exactly how you're meant to do it. And I mentioned Carlos Sainz obviously having a problem getting through there, obviously a race-ending problem. He definitely did not get it right like Max did. No,
I mean, while we've seen a textbook example of how it's done, you can see a textbook example of how it's done, and then a textbook example of how it's not done. So it's on your screen right now. Carlos Sainz dives off, tries to do what Verstappen did, doesn't succeed, and brings out that early race safety car. Well, he had some help from a Racing Point as well a little bit later. But watch this. He comes in, dives off the track, realises he's gone wrong, got to go through the bollards, gets the angle slightly wrong, and just bang. I mean, that's going to hurt in the morning, I think.
And you can see how disappointed he was on the radio to the guy saying, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. That was just such bad luck. And that area of the track just causing so many problems for people throughout the race.
I know. I mean, it was great. The drivers got warned before the race.
It was great.
Yeah, it was great. It gave us entertainment, didn't it? The drivers were all told by Michael Massey, the race director, before the start, do something naughty there, you're going to get a 5-second penalty. And we saw those 5-second penalties being applied. But Lance Stroll had a problem right at the start of the race, and actually it wasn't really his fault. He got clobbered by Charles Leclerc coming out of that long corner, and that just pitched him into the wall, and combined with Carlos Sainz, that brought out the safety car. So you can see that the Ferrari driver there tried to get a run in, and it was a bit optimistic. Clobbered. I'm amazed the Ferrari didn't get broken by that, actually. It was a really heavy impact on that left front.
Well, you've mentioned the safety car. We had the restart. Lewis Hamilton really backing up the pack. Of course, 2 weeks ago, we saw Valtteri Bottas trying to do the restart, and obviously that all ending in absolute chaos. This time we didn't have that. But what was your thoughts on how Lewis Hamilton approached that restart today?
I've never really... There's always different sort of opinions of strategy. So you can see all the guys backing up behind Lewis Hamilton. He's trying to get that little advantage, trying to get that run, so he can have his foot down a little bit earlier than everybody else. You can see he sort of looked like he teased him he was going to do that, and then he was gone. So he gets into the corner, and Ronnie Quintarelli, I've seen this do in another race series brilliantly recently. Just come into the apex, makes out you're backing off, and then just nail it and disappear off into the distance, gain a few car lengths, and you can see it right there. He's just disappeared off the front of Valtteri Bottas. So
he got it absolutely spot on, didn't he? Which, of course, actually didn't really help him in the end with that penalty applied, or 2 penalties applied during the race for that pre-race incident where he was doing practice starts. We saw that during the pre-race show. He was so frustrated, Lewis Hamilton. Do you think if he hadn't been brought in and he'd stayed out and he'd served the penalty on track, that would have helped him, or did he have to serve it in the pits?
I actually haven't checked that bit of the sporting regulations because I got distracted just after that happened, because there was quite a lot of other stuff happening at that point. So here you see, so Hamilton comes out of the pit lane and just rolls along, minding his own business, realises he has to do a practice start. He does it there, which is on the exit of the pit lane. That's way too late. You're supposed to do it on that sort of wider section, and he did that twice. So the team obviously told him, there's the second one that he did, and the team told him to do it in the wrong place. And this is a Mercedes team error, not Hamilton's driver error. Here he comes in for an extended pit stop because he does a normal pit stop, and then the team sort of just hang out and stare at the car for 10 seconds. This is him serving the penalty. There is an argument that you suggested that he could have taken that penalty at the end of the race, an extra 10 seconds on it. It wouldn't have actually made a great difference, I don't think.
Even though Valtteri Bottas was able to eke out about 8 seconds from Max Verstappen?
I think that still would have happened anyway.
OK.
So I don't think it would have made this enormous difference, but Mercedes should not have ever let that situation happen. It's the second race this year where we've seen a little glitch from the Mercedes engineers, who in the past have been absolutely bulletproof. So I'm not quite sure what's gone on there, but this is the second regulatory problem they've had, and that is not great. And the reason I mention it being big news for Hamilton is it could be massive by the end of the season.
Yes, you've been crunching the numbers. Instead of reading the rule book, you've been crunching the numbers in terms of penalty points for Lewis Hamilton. Of course, he is nearing that race ban amount of points. What do you think could happen by the end of the season if he carries on this bad behaviour?
Yeah, so Formula One has a penalty point system, and it's a bit like if you're in the UK and you get caught by a speed camera, you get 2 or however many free penalty points, and you get up to 12. If you get 12 penalty points, you get sent home, you get a ban, or you get in trouble. Exactly the same in Formula One. Hamilton is now on 10 penalty points because of those 2 start infringements. If he gets 12, he's out for a single race. He gets a one race ban. Well, I've done the calculations, and he's earning 0.83 penalty points per race, which if you round up, he gets a ban not in Nürburgring, but the race afterwards, and then he'll skip a race after that. And I'm wondering, now we've got Stoffel van Dorn on the spot on the desk there. He's the nominated test and reserve driver for Mercedes. Is he polishing up his crash helmet and getting ready?
Well, let's ask him. Let's go back to Sochi. Stoffel, are you ready to jump in if Lewis Hamilton gets taken out for a race?
Okay. Thank you so much, Rosanna. Sam, the man, those stats are on point as always. As usual, curly hair, which is always better than mine. I'm very jealous of that. It's an impressive head of hair. Stoffel van Dorn, when someone comes onto the radio and says, we have a 5-second penalty, how hard is it to manage your mindset with that?
Yeah, it's definitely something you have to deal with, and it immediately makes your race a lot more difficult because you gotta push more. You want to try and build a gap compared to your competitors behind. In this case, they executed the stop and go penalty in the pit lane. So basically, Lewis was set back a little bit. Then he had to push a little bit more, ask more of the tires. So immediately it compromises the race result quite a lot. And yeah, definitely is not an ideal scenario.
Definitely a tricky one to get your head around. Now let's cross over to the media pen where our great man Lawrence Barretto is there with Mr. Carlos Sainz.
Carlos, we were watching that opening lap, and then I just saw your car spear across the track. What happened?
Yeah, it was a very poor start for everyone starting on the right-hand side of the grid. We literally had no grip. But by the time we got to turn 2, we were still in a good position fighting under the braking zone. And at the time I was about to hit the apex in turn 2, I had to open my steering wheel because I thought I had someone on the inside and I might have jumped over the bollards, the big curbs. And at that point, when I was going to negotiate the chicane, but I clearly had too much speed, the angle was really, really narrow to go around the bollard, and I just misjudged my entry speed. The track was very dirty and crashed pretty heavily against that wall.
How frustrating is it, given you had a good car today?
It is frustrating, but at the same time, there's always going to be some mistakes during the year. Today was my mistake, and I apologize for the team for it. Definitely looking forward now to Nürburgring to try and redeem a bit myself. But at the same time, I think that corner is not very well designed. It's forcing drivers to take very strange lines and very strange incidents like this 5-second penalties that we are given if we don't negotiate that chicane next to a wall. But it's what it is, and I got it wrong today.
All right, hard luck, Carlos.
Thank you.
Okay, Stoff, so it just looks like this Grand Prix has really been about managing the mind. We saw that run down to turn 2. Cars are everywhere. What goes through your mind? You've been on the podium here, I think in GP2. You've experienced this. Is it hard to get your head around everything and stay ahead of the game?
It's one of the most challenging ones here because it's actually the longest run up until turn 2. There's a lot of slipstream effect. So actually being the lead car is not always beneficial around here. So
No.
Everyone tries to be opportunistic in that second corner. They try to brake late, and yeah, as we saw today, there was quite a bit of carnage. People locking up, going over the bollards, and yeah, kind of compromising themselves into turn 3. So it just creates for a lot of action because everyone feels like they need to make up these gains early on.
Speaking of a man who made up some gains, we're going to cross over and hear from Charles Leclerc, where Lawrence spoke to him earlier.
Crikey, Charles, that was an awesome race.
Yeah, well, pretty good race for us. I had a pretty bad start, lost quite a lot of position on the run to turn 1, but then in turn 1 I took back the position that I had lost at the start, and then from then on the performance was very good, so happy with today.
Are you surprised? Because the pace of the car, you were just racing people, you were able to just fight forward.
Yeah, I was surprised, definitely, especially that Friday I didn't drive well. I degraded a lot of the tires and the pace was just not here, and today the pace was a bit better, but most of all I think I improved massively on my tire management, so this was a good thing to see.
Great, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Some interesting comments there, Stoff, from Charles. Looks like a race where he didn't really run into trouble, just needed to bag the points. That's going to help Ferrari build that confidence. It's really what they need to get their championship back on track.
Yeah, it was a solid performance from Charles. You know, a bit of a lonely race. We didn't really see that much of him, but he just, continues to put in good performances. He's probably extracting the maximum out of the car, what he has available to him at the moment, and that's the only thing he can do. Unfortunately, there's nothing much more left, and he just got to be opportunistic and take the benefits when he can.
I mean, it's hard being in that position because you've just got to, you've got to take the results where they come. You've been there with that with other teams. Is it one of those things where you really just need to be patient and the results will come eventually?
Yeah, it's obviously tough for them because last year they were obviously, Charles was on pole here and he's been winning a couple of Grand Prix, and now he's not really in a position to be anywhere close to that. So probably a little bit of a frustrating time, but he's still young. He's got to learn to deal with this, and I'm sure in the future, the team will improve. They'll make steps forward and bring themselves back to the position where they can hopefully win races.
Fantastic. Now we're going to cross back over to Loris Barretto, who's had a chat to George Russell earlier, and have a look at that strategy that he employed.
Hey, George. Well, it just didn't really go right from the start, did it?
Yeah, it was a really, really tough day in the office. I think a lot of mistakes from my side, just struggling with the tyres, just couldn't get the tyres working, and I think the starts have been something I've been struggling with a lot this year, and I needed to step up in terms of my confidence, and that's what I did. And I made actually a really good start, but it was just getting forced off. That corner so tight. It's 3 abreast and 3 don't go into one. So that was the beginning, but still we boxed on the first lap, put the hards on, which wasn't necessarily a bad idea. Well, it wasn't a bad idea at all. It was absolutely the right thing to do, but just could not get the tyres working. And a lot to review. A lot of interesting things to take away from this weekend, but ultimately the points scored on Sunday and we weren't good enough today.
Okay, Stoff, we saw there George Russell had a bit of a lock-up early one, compromised the strategy a little bit. I mean, that's painful when you feel you got that big lock-up and your heart sinks in the car.
Yeah, a bit of a difficult afternoon for George. I think he was kind of in a fight with nothing really much to gain, to be honest. He was fighting with Lando and then with Alex as well, and kind of lost track a little bit. Then had this lockup and unfortunately had to come in for another pit stop.
Righto. Now we're going to cross back to the studio with the great Rosanna Tennant and Sam the Man. Over to you guys.
Thanks very much. Yes, well, we've been looking at the different strategies, and Sam, which ones have interested you the most?
Well, it was a little bit of an unpredictable race because we had a few people going into it with the medium, the yellow tyre, and then a few people starting on the soft. That we expected that, but then there were a few people, the AlphaTauris notably, running on the hard tyre quite, from the beginning, going very deep in the race, and I thought they were going to try and go to about lap 40, put on the soft, and just go super quick to the end. But the AlphaTauris, they did something, Kvyat particularly, did something a bit odd. Home race, bolted on the medium tyre and went to the end that way. And that led to some pretty good battles at the end of the race, and I was quite impressed by some of that.
Oh, well, there we go. A little bit of an insight into the tyre strategy. Well, we will keep on analysing the race. There's plenty more to discuss. If you want to come back to us, Sam, please do. And we will be here in the studio, ready and waiting.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to hear from our top 3. Let's start with, of course, the man himself, Mr. Lewis Hamilton.
Boy, did you have to work hard for that P3 today, eh?
Yeah.
How was it out there today?
It was okay. I'm grateful to finish the race and at least back some points.
Were you disappointed by the penalties?
It is what it is. So.
Was it a case of you asked, I think we heard you ask Bono whether it was okay. Was it just you weren't aware of that regulation or that rule?
I don't know what the regulation is, so no.
Okay.
But I'm sure I'll find out after.
All right, well, just finally, damage limitation at least, you did get some solid points today.
Yeah, but as I said, by just finishing, it's great to finish in the top 3, and still get those points. A bit of a loss today, but we'll live to fight another day.
All right, hard luck, thanks.
Now, Stoff, it's a harsh call, that one. It's a really hard one to take for Lewis. Well, I mean, the drivers' briefing next weekend, that's going to be a hot topic.
Yeah, definitely. It was a bit of a strange situation to see Lewis do the practice starts in the area there are. I'm sure there'll be a lot of conversations going on in the drivers' briefing next year to probably clarify what they can do and cannot really do. And I'm sure Lewis will learn from this and or try and see the positives out of this and make sure it doesn't happen again next time and has a clean run.
Now, you've been inside the garage in Mercedes whilst he's been out there. Does it surprise you that you hear somewhat of a dejected tone from Lewis when he gets those messages, yet his performance on track is still what we expect from the world champion that he is? I mean, it's just incredible to see in many ways.
Yeah, and that is kind of Lewis's way, whenever he has a setback or something that puts him on the back foot, he almost takes inspiration out of that and he seems to perform even better to prove that he's right. So it's something to take inspiration from for some of the other drivers as well, I would say.
Does he just cue the Rocky Balboa music in the ears or something like that?
Maybe he does. Yeah, I should ask him actually.
Eye of the Tiger. Speaking of a guy who's got the eye of the tiger, we're going to hear from Mr. Max Verstappen.
Hey Max, at last a Red Bull podium here. You must be pretty pleased with that result all in all.
Yeah, I think we can be very happy with that. I think, the first stint was a bit more tricky. I was struggling a little bit with the balance of the car, so I couldn't really keep up with Mercedes. But after the pit stop on the hard tire, I think we were more competitive. But of course, I already lost too much ground to Valtteri, unfortunately. But still, for us on a track where we know we are normally not that competitive, to be second, I think is a great result for us.
Was there any point early in the race that you thought you might have a shot at this race win?
No, quite early onwards I was struggling with the car, so I was just trying to do the best I could to not lose too much ground, but it was quite difficult in the beginning.
All right, great result, thanks.
Some interesting insights there from Max Verstappen. Stoffel Vandoorne, he seems like he is always just letting Mercedes know that he's there and he's going after you guys, I reckon. He's just waiting for the mistake.
He's very close and again, a great performance from him this weekend. I think something he almost needed after the last two races where he had those DNFs and looked to be quite competitive as well. So a solid, really solid performance from him. A great qualifying yesterday and managed to split the Mercedes today in the race again.
Now, you guys live quite close in Monaco. Is Max as an intenser guy outside the car as he is inside the car? Is he quite relaxed outside?
He's pretty relaxed. I mean, I get on really well with him. We live actually, almost next to each other, nice. Just one building apart. And obviously, we speak the same language as well. We both speak Dutch. So yeah, he's a guy I hang out with a lot, and he's pretty down to earth.
Fantastic. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear from our race winner, Valtteri Bottas.
Congratulations, Valtteri. How satisfying is it to be back on the top step?
Very satisfying. Obviously, it's been, not frustrating, but it's been so close many times to win the race, and I feel things definitely haven't gone my way. And today they definitely did. I also consider myself, no doubt, a bit lucky. But even without Lewis's penalty when he stopped and when I was in free air, I felt I was the fastest guy around, so I could really control my pace, and when I had to go faster I could really find new levels, and so everything felt really under control, and that's a beautiful feeling, and yeah, feels so good in the end. I haven't won that many races yet in Formula 1, so it's still a really special feeling.
Did you always have that feeling that eventually your luck would turn? Because like you just said,
yes,
there were just things that were just not going your way.
Definitely. I know some people they don't have the same mindset. Some people think I should give up, but I won't never do it. So I know it was about just a matter of time that things will go my way and I'll get the win again. So I really hope I can keep this momentum from this race and use it as a big boost for the coming races.
Great stuff. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Stoffel Vandoorne, Valtteri Bottas, he's got one on the board again. That has got to make that side of the garage very, very happy.
Yeah, definitely, and he kind of needed that after the last couple of races where he was just very close, but just couldn't quite make it happen. And yeah, today he needed that victory. He's been super strong in Sochi in the last couple of years. He's I would say almost a little bit of a specialist around here, and yeah,
He is,
another.
isn't he? He's always quick here.
Exactly, he got his first victory here a couple of years ago, and yeah, another one today. So great performance. He was yeah, really on it already from Friday. When you looked at his race pace during practice, it looked on a different planet, and yeah, today definitely looked no different.
Could this be a little bit of a momentum shift even? Because Sam the Man Collins mentioned before that Lewis is generating 0.83 penalty points per race. He's getting very close to that race ban. Valtteri's got the last race win. Could there be a little bit of a momentum shift?
It's too early to tell. I mean, the season is still quite long. There's a lot of things that can happen. We know how unpredictable Formula One can be at times, and after all, we had Netflix here, so you never know what happens with us.
Yeah, we had Magello as well, talking of unpredictable.
Yeah, exactly. So the season is still long. A lot of things can happen, and it's not over until it's over.
You're absolutely right, mate, which brings us very nicely to the driver standings currently, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a good look at them now because it's heating up for the last half of this championship. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The man you're going to see on top almost certainly, Mr. Lewis Hamilton, 205 points, leading from Valtteri. He's going to try and hunt him down. Max Verstappen staying there, close as ever. Lando Norris, look at that, P4. He is going to be absolutely happy with that. He'll be doing everything to try and cement that for McLaren. They need it desperately. Albon trying to do everything he can to close that gap to Verstappen. Dan the Man Ricciardo down there as well. Charles Leclerc. Daniil Kvyat making his way up with that strong result. We've also then got Carlos Sainz. He's going to be looking to bounce back next Grand Prix. Esteban Ocon getting his head around the Renault car now, starting to build a bit of pace. Seb Vettel, what can he do to get out of the hole there with Ferrari? He's a smart man. He's one of the best drivers. Now in terms of the Constructors' Championship standings, here we go. Mercedes absolutely dominating at the moment. But the championship is all about the midfield, ladies and gentlemen. Have a look at this. McLaren, Racing Point, Renault, all super close together. That's what we need to see, ladies and gentlemen, in the last half of the Grand Prix. So, Stoff, it's going to be heating up for the last part of the season. What are we going to think about Nürburgring? Are you predicting another Mercedes stronghold there?
Well, let's hope we don't have snow at Nürburgring, because this weekend they had a 24 hours race there, and the race got stopped for 7 or 8 hours because of storm. So let's hope we can have a good race there.
Well, we'll have to see whether or not the Pirelli wet tyres can hold up to that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got time for here. Thank you so much for having us. Will Buxton, get better soon, mate. We want you back here as soon as possible. For now, it's bye from us. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thank you.